Morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Express Meditation. Today we'll continue with the six perfections, the six paramitas. I think we've covered three of the six. I think we'll cover the last three today. So that's going to be um, um, I think Geshe Rabten calls it energy. It can also be called diligence or joyous effort. So I think the complexity of the Tibetan language, we start to see it when we start seeing these definitions. But I think it's good, the definitions, because we can start to refine what do we mean? Is it joy? Is it joyous effort? Is it diligence? Is it um, energy? So I think that they're all valid in their own way. So so that's the fourth one, and then we have concentration and wisdom. So we make sure that we have a comfortable position, finding a space, and we try to bring our focus inside, bringing the mind inside. And this Rinpoche continually explained, happiness comes from the mind, suffering comes from the mind. All of the experience comes from the mind. So by drawing our attention and concentration to the mind, we start to work with the mind. If the mind is the source of the happiness, the source of suffering, it seems to be something important to understand. So we observe the breath, the inhale and the exhale, because it's said that the mind is riding on the wind, is riding on the breath. So we observe the breath, calming the mind, getting closer to the mind. then we think about our motivation. It's Thursday morning, at least for most of us. Why are we sitting down to take this 30 minutes to contemplate the Lam, the six perfections? And for the most part, it's personal interest. We're curious. What are these Lam topics? What are the six perfections? How do they work? What was Buddha teaching? And just thinking of myself as a new student to the Dharma, trying to understand and contemplate these points. It's very much a personal curiosity. And at the same time, there's this altruistic bodhicitta attitude to do this work on the mind, not just for oneself, but for all the sentient beings in samsara, all the humans, all the animals, the insects, all the living beings that we can't even see with our eyes. They're so tiny. And perhaps it's especially important for those beings that aren't in human form because they don't have the conditions to practice Dharma, but we do. So while there's a personal interest and a drive from my own side, there's also a push, so to speak, that I'm doing it for all of those beings that cannot practice right now in their current forms. So with that motivation, we shift our focus to these six perfections. And just to recap, we covered patience, morality, and the first one was generosity. So now we bring our attention to this um, energy, or we call it maybe diligence, or maybe it's called effort or joyous effort. Lots of different terms out there. But for today, we're going to use the word energy, because that's how I guess Upton was speaking when he was teaching the text. So it can also be called an armor-like energy. So this armor-like energy is a strong energy. Um, it's an energy to engage in any action, no matter how big, how vast, or profound, no matter how difficult. And it's this energy to do this difficult task for helping other sentient beings, for um, realizing the ultimate goal. So that's this big overarching energy. And then there's other aspects of the energy. So there's the energy of collecting virtue. And similar to the second type of morality that we discussed, it's um, a means of trying to accumulate as much virtue as one can with one's body, speech, and mind. So there's this whole energy or joy to collect virtue, collect merit. And then there's the energy and joy of helping sentient beings. So this joy of helping sentient beings is helping other sentient beings, like the also like it's like the third morality. The general meaning of energy is is joy. So the joy in the practice of virtue. And it's actually really important because when we're practicing, there's a strenuous effort that's put into these mundane samsaric actions. And that's not really energy, it's kind of hardship. So this joy in the practice, it will arise naturally if one meditates correctly. So practicing correctly, then one soon experiences great peace and happiness in the mind. And this leads to the development, almost like an instantaneous development of energy. And it seems like how can how can hardship be joy, right? But I think we've all have experienced that. I think that's what happens on this spiritual path. We do something difficult, helping a friend that's ill, or trying to meditate for the first time, or the second time, or the 10th time, or the 100th time. But then something happens in this effort, in this energy, and it turns from uh, hardship to more of a joyous activity. So I think that's what we're looking for. So if one has practiced meditation for a long time, but it just remains a strain or a hardship, and the joy doesn't arise in the mind, then something's wrong. Something's wrong in the way of meditating. And then we have to discover what is it? What's wrong? So we have to seek out the analysis and to check with a teacher. So that's this diligence, this joyous effort, this energy. And then we look at the next perfection, the fifth perfection, concentration. And concentration, from the perspective of Buddha, is a type of meditative concentration. And from the point of view of its nature, it's divided into um, samsaric concentration, or uh, concentration in the mind of a samsaric being, and into um, the second part, which is the super mundane concentration. So concentration in the mind of a being that has attained liberation, an arhat. And then there's these classes of concentration. Uh, so there's the class of shamatha, and there's the class of vipassana, or insight. And shamatha is also calm abiding. So, mm, so there's these two classes: the shamatha, the vipassana, and then there's the third one, which is the combination or the union of the shamatha and the vipassana. And then the concentration has functions, and the functions are divided into the three parts. So the first one is the concentration that is it's not focused upon an exalted topic, but it brings about a physical and a mental bliss. And then the second function of concentration is that it acts as a basis for qualities. So when one concentrates on unholy objects, so like um, the Four Noble Truths or selflessness. Sorry, they're not holy objects, but um, the Four Noble Truths, selflessness, uh, then the qualities can be developed within um, within one's mind stream. And then the third function of the concentration is benefiting sentient beings. So the concentration to accomplish the aims uh, of all the different ways of helping sentient beings. So we can see how even concentration has all these classes and functions and complexity, and they all require refinement. And then we have the last of the six perfections, the wisdom. So wisdom is called like the upper level of wisdom, the top level. We say the wisdom that perceives the ultimate truth, right? So the full understanding and internalization of the ultimate truth of reality. So it's not just any wisdom, but it's a very specific wisdom. And the second component of the wisdom is the wisdom that actually perceives the conventional reality. So the conventional reality, or the wisdom of the conventional reality, is skilled mm, in the five sciences, or um, yeah, five sciences. So that's like grammar, logic, medicine, arts and crafts, maybe even architecture, and inner knowledge, or uh, the knowledge of a religious philosophy. And then the third part of the wisdom is wisdom that understands correctly how to um, accomplish things without mistake, and how to accomplish those things both for one's own benefit and for the benefit of others. So this wisdom, just to recap, is kind of like this wisdom of the ultimate truth, the wisdom of the conventional truth, and then the wisdom of correct application of the wisdom. The last part is kind of like just having the knowledge is good, but having the knowledge of how to use the knowledge is best. And I'm sure we can all think of a moment when we had a piece of knowledge and then we tried to use it, but the time was inappropriate, or the place was inappropriate, or maybe the person that you were trying to direct the knowledge to wasn't the right person to receive the knowledge. So that's why it's so important having this mm, knowledge of the correct way to apply the wisdom. So we can seal our contemplation with a dedication that may all of the work and the contemplations that we've done with the six perfections, especially today with energy, concentration, and wisdom, may they continue to grow in our mind and never decline. And may whatever past understanding of the six perfections that we've had, may it continue to grow until all of the perfections are perfectly performed for the sake of all sentient beings. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. This is wonderful. Thank you.